I don't know what to make of this, as I ain't even sure if it was just us freaking. The experience was in early autumn, so the leaves were still mostly on the trees, as me and my friend entered the woods. We usually go on longer hiking trips, once or twice a year. Eastern Germany, border to Czechia. Park the car near some small village, really far off in the middle of nowhere, get backpacks and start to hike up a trail into the woods. We usually just head in one direction, straight through the terrain and avoiding paths, as we just like to enjoy the silent/peaceful nature. Trail ends at a pond, the kinds where anglers used to hang around. From there on we just head straight into the woods, in the general direction of the Czech Republic. We talk a little about our daily, updating each other on what's currently going on. "Did you pack a lighter?" he asks me. Wait, I search for it in my backpack, pretty sure that I took it with me. Find it after a bit of hasty searching, would have been pretty nasty if I didn't, as we plan to stay overnight and hike back in a wider arc. Eventually gets dark and we look for a place to set up camp. See bigger rock formation, with an overhang angled against a slope/plateau, a small vein of water running into a bunch of bushes a bit further down. Pick related. Place down our stuff and clear out a space for a fire, and damping it with water all around. The ground and leaves were pretty dry and we weren't keen on setting of an wildfire. Fast forward, we went looking for firewood and some rocks to surround the fire on the small hill behind the rock/cliff. End up around 400 meters away from camp, picking up branches and 2 rocks. Notice bunch of long thick branches stacked around and pretty high oak tree like a teepee and 2 circles carved into the ground around it. Huh? Go on closer, think it's maybe by some kids playing and building tents, but as we're a day's hike deep in the forest, it seemed very unlikely. Stand there thinking what it could be. After a minute of debate just tell each other it's probably nothing. Went back to our place for the night. Arrive back at camp, pretty damn dark now, light fire, put a can of soup onto a rock besides it. Eat, eventually climb into sleeping bag that is tucked under the overhang, pretty cozy, and dry too. I fell asleep pretty quickly as I was exhausted from the hike. Wake up pretty early in the morning, still dark. Hear shit down towards the water. Probably just pigs. Never had a bad encounter with a boar, but stayed cautious because I didn't need a bad one. Just lay there waiting for the sun to rise. Eventually some sunlight starts passing through the leaves, and my friend wakes up too. "You hear that?" I ask him. "Yeah, but probably some deers of pigs or some stuff, but isn't too close, right?" He says. "Nah, but I am honestly still cautious, but try to chuck it off as pigs too." Bro starts making pig noises. Grunt too, we both laugh and start packing out stuff. Suddenly some high-pitched whistling/scream cuts through the air. "Yo Anon, what bird is that?" he asks me. Shrug, no freaking clue what it was. Stay still for a while, then continue to stuff our sleeping bags into these far too tight baggies that hold them. Another high pitch whatever it was. Continue slowly, wondering. All of a sudden my friend looks at me, telling me to shush. Stop what I am doing. Hear shuffling steps right above the rocks. What in the? Hear sore breathing and some grunting sounds I can't really describe. Whatever it is, surely no pig, the walking sounds too human. You could hear one four-placed after another. A third scream in a deeper pitch than the last ones, almost as if this thing was in pain. MFW when I realize it is right above us. Like frigging Lord of the Rings when the hobbits hide under the root. We're both tucked under the rock. To get down from the rock, whatever it was must have taken a way around. The steps seem to head away. After 3 minutes of no motion we throw all our shit quickly into the backpacks and decide to backtrack. Walk really fast, backtracking into the general direction we came from. After 4 hours of paranoid running through the bushes we reach the broad trail. Stand there for like a minute, catching a breath. You know, Anon, maybe we were a little too paranoid. Could have just been some hurt animal. Another scream, then a second from another direction. Oh shit. We start running. Running turns into fast walking after 20 minutes. 3 more screams as we pass by the pond. God damn it, what the hell. Reach car near the village, get in. See birds flying off loudly 70 meters into the woods, feel like some tall shape moving behind the tree line. Dude, drive, I urged him. Drive off, hear 6 screams behind us. Eventually get on the freeway, heading home. Still don't know what the heck it could have been.
Was it in north or south of the triangular western end of Czechia?
North.
Then you're lucky, just don't think about this thing much.
What?
The southern part is much more benign, there are friendly gnomes there, one gave me honey for free at a castle ruin in southern Bohemia next to Bavaria.
What you heard screaming was a mountain lion. YouTube mountain lion scream. From a distance they can sound like a woman being murdered.
Mountain lions. Eastern Germany, border to Czechia. I sure wonder who could be behind this post.
Understandable. In hindsight, my encounter was the result of wrong time, wrong place. Europe is much more domesticated than the US, especially in regards to the wilds. These things aren't often reported in Europe. Ops' encounter was mostly a dash of bad luck. However, it would be wise of him to avoid that particular spot. I would not describe encounters with them as being supernatural, they are clearly some kind of living, physical being. But, they do seem to have traits which are borderline supernatural. They are easily the fastest land-based creature in the world, they know some degree of human language. And, as I have heard from a close friend of mine, they can induce hallucinations in human beings to lure them away besides imitation of speech. Basically, when hunting human beings, they use psychological manipulation. How this is, I do not know. As a Christian, I put forth that they are demonic in nature, and if you ever have an encounter with them, God forbid, you'd probably agree. Picked is a shitty picture from the night of my encounter. Believe me or not, these things are out there. If you ever walk the woods at night, listen to your gut, it knows better. I've already said multiple times that reports of encounters from Europe are rather rare because it's much more domesticated and inhabited than other regions of the world. Of the few of these that are in Europe, they'd be hiding in exclusive locations and unknown, unfrequented cave systems. These beings do, however, know how to stay hidden, and considering most people aren't even aware of them, it's not too far-fetched to suggest that they may go largely unseen in the few places they reside within Europe. This is admittedly speculation, and I do not expect you to believe me. It's up to Op to conclude what actually happened that night. I know they are real because I have had an encounter with one. If I had not, I too would doubt their existence.
In upstate New York around 2007 sometime, I was driving around with 2 of my friends in the middle of the night. About 2 or 3 a.m. we go to a cemetery, outlined in purple on map. My one friend has a new digital camera and she wants to take pics of orbs. The 3 of us start walking around, she is taking pictures, nothing is showing up on the screen. We get to the back side of the cemetery away from the road and saw the headstone of a girl who died 2 previous years before in a car accident. I then hear a shrill banshee scream in the woods to the east, across the cornfield in the Cold Spring Brook area, and immediately think WTF. I'm not even sure if those 2 noticed the scream, but I looked up to see that they were both staring at a softball-sized floating ball of light, coming from behind a gravestone. I thought it was the full moon reflecting on the polished granite face, but the pale gray light moved out from in front of the stone and was now backed by the dark ground and still glowing. It then floated to the other side of the headstone, back behind to where it came full circle. I then stepped behind it and nothing was there. We were walking in single file, and saw it from 3 different vantage points to our right. Anyways, we then thought it was a great time to get out of there, booked it to the truck, and then like 10 minutes later when we checked, there were hello orbs in the pics she was taking of me and my friend walking through the cemetery. I always consider this a ghost story, but I always mention the Banshee scream and only wonder what it could have been. The Northern California story next is me also. So it is summer and I got out of the house in Weed, to go to do some gold panning on the East Fork of the Salmon River. It was really good for just panning, like little bits/flakes and 30 to 60 colors per pan, so it was fun. I go over the mountain from Gazelle to Callahan, from there I again cross over west in the Marble/Trinity Alps border on Cecileville Road. The East Fork campground on the East Fork is one of the first good turnouts by the time the road comes down the hill, to meet the river. The river is more of a 15-foot wide shallow creek at this point BTW where I am. Anyways, I was gold panning for like 20 minutes, and all of a sudden I just get hit with a wall of death rot stink. I thought it was weird. At first I thought there was just a dead animal upstream, and the wind had shifted, but there wasn't a breeze and shit was still. I then felt like something was watching me, called out, "Hello?" Got the heebie-jeebies, and got the hell back to my car and went on down to Cecileville to shoot the shit with Monkey.
The psi nature of these things is baffling to me unless, as you say, they are demonic in nature. I will admit, my encounter was probably one of the most terrifying, horrifying, panic-inducing experiences of my life. I have never felt such a deep, animalistic fear as that night. It can't fully be described in words, but seeing them is like having your body and brain lit on fire with fear. I remember being parked next to a dark creek with a light post above the car. I was parked there for a short time. I felt vulnerable and I felt intensely that I was being watched by something. I was looking at the tree line, which was very dark, and I saw this white form standing out from the darkness. It couldn't have been more than 10 feet from the car. I could make out the texture of its skin. It looked like old dried ash-covered leather. The moment I saw this form, I couldn't make out any body parts. I think I was looking at its back as it was crouched. In hindsight, I was hit with an instant adrenaline rush. 0 to 100 instantly. In that moment, the moment I laid eyes on it, my brain immediately knew I was looking at something that I had never seen before, but was incredibly dangerous. Whatever these are, in the unknown depths of the past, we had to have had extensive contact with them. The fear and recognition of them is 100% ingrained on an instinctual level. Yet at the same time, they seem to be closely related to us, and they themselves are familiar with human beings. I posit that they are among the remnants of the Nephilim, who for whatever reason, were confined to cavernous systems and having adapted to them not only come up to the surface at the night to hunt, but also to observe us. This would explain, in my opinion, their demonic nature, their intelligence, and their physical similarity to us. Sightings have been increasing, and they seem to be living in closer and closer proximity to us. Sign of the times, if you ask me.